All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, according to WHO, intimate partner violence is one of the most common forms of violence against women and includes physical, sexual, and emotional abuse and controlling behaviors by an intimate partner. Although there is a growing body of knowledge about the magnitude, partners, and risk factors associated with the IPV, right, that's the intimate partner violence, many research gaps remain, and including patterns of women's responses to violence and the effect of the intimate partner violence on children. Expanding the knowledge base and disseminating existing and new information will lead to better programs and strategies. And we are asking tonight, what are some of these practical and legal and financial approach that we can use in dealing with partner, especially intimate partner violence, right? And that's the conversation for tonight. Now let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation, send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. All right, so I'm going to hear your thoughts, Manny, in a minute, and I'll bring in Trish. I just want to hear your thoughts, you know, because again, we talked about this thing, everybody's talking about Osinachi. God, I mean, receives her soul. We're praying for her children, you know, because right now is a loss, both father, mother, because the man, if he's found wanting, he might eventually go to jail, and there will not be anybody to take care of those children. But when you hear things like this, right, what comes to your mind first of all, you know, in how do people actually just, you know, say, I think I've had it, I need to be strategic about this person that I have landed in one chance with, you know, because I just believe any violent partner is one chance, serious one you have entered.
Okay, so for me, I just think that the cases of domestic violence, especially physical domestic violence, they're on the rise in Nigeria, affecting up to 30% of the population.
Absolutely.
Regardless of your age, your tribe, your religion, or social status. And one thing we need to see is that most of these perpetrators of domestic violence are actually victims themselves. So if we continue to talk about just these victims, we might not be able to make progress. We just see that we are rigmaroling and we're not coming up with solutions. So for me, I think that we should look properly at the reasons why these women don't leave. You know, it's very easy for people to say, why don't you leave? Why didn't she leave? You know, but we don't look at the reasons. So today I'm excited about what we are discussing today, because I want us to go into it, look at not just the symptoms, because domestic violence is a symptom
of a deeper problem.
It's of a deeper problem. So I would like us to look at the root problem, as well as look at solutions, because if we do not, this continues to happen, and then it becomes a cycle. You see children grow up and become this person, you know. So how do we nip it in the bud? How do we stop it?
We like butcher it and just completely bury it.
Bury it, throw it away.
Absolutely. So let me bring in Trish Okereke. She is the Executive Director and Legal and Corporate Services for a Downstream oil and gas company. She is a United States of America attorney who trained in the United Kingdom with master's degree in commercial law and multiple certifications in public procurement practice, international trading, and commercial business transactional law. Now, she's an international professional, contract manager, certified international negotiator. She's what we refer to as a commercial expert in private commercial practice field, with experience spanning well over 23 years practice in law. She spent about 19 years at the Nigerian bar and started her career as early as when she was 16 years old as a legal secretary in London property firm. She has been married for past 17 years and she has 3 boys, 2 of whom are teenagers, and she's joined us live in studio. And might I add, she's an amazing person, because you are, thank you so much first of all to lending your voice, because I hear that this is actually close to home for you. So when Manny put that call through, it was in a heartbeat. You said, I'll be here, and thank you so much. We're honored to have you here with us tonight. So so again, this conversation is spanning across a lot of things that's happened in the last 1-2 weeks in the media, where, you know, there was a case of domestic violence that ended the life of an amazing person. So just recently, I think yesterday, I was reading a story where a partner was talking about how she was in 2 relationships and she was beating blue black. This is like a tennis star. Yeah. So she's not like she does not have the capacity to be by herself, right? So do you want to quickly touch on why do we still have cases of domestic violence? Then before we then even move into the practical, legal and financial approach to handling a violent spouse. Yeah.
I think the first thing that comes to my mind why women would find themselves in situations of domestic violence is mainly, the first one is culture, upbringing. You know, if you start off training a child in a particular set of mind and you tell them that this is acceptable, this is not acceptable, then they know to look for things that aren't acceptable, especially when you're dating someone. Then you can say, oh no, this is not for me. Because by the time you get over the cultural mindset and you've entered the relationship, then it becomes fear. You know, the first thing is we need to train our children, boy or girl, of the acceptable behavior with the other partner. Because most times women don't know their value. You know, they've either seen their mother being beat up, they've seen their father abuse themselves or their siblings or even their mother, and they are not able to quantify that this is not acceptable.
It's not normal.
So they've grown with this mindset that this is the norm. This is love. So most times, they equate this acceptance to the love that they've always known. So they don't know any better, you know. So it's from young. It's when you see. I mean, how do animals that don't actually speak words learn? They learn by nurture. They've seen their parents do something, and that's where it starts from.
Trish, I think that's actually outstanding. You said something. You said children can actually see this and think that this is love.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, when a man and a woman
my daddy loves my mommy.
Yeah, so
if he does this to mommy,
it's a show of love.
Yeah, it's a show of love.
Yeah. This is the way to.
You know, so it's interesting that we're discussing this on a Friday where we usually talk business. It was really deliberate because, again, we've always on this table spoken to the fact that it's important for women to be financially free from a lot of things, right? It's important to have the financial liberty, to have the power to be able to earn money and all of that. So this case of a woman that has the capacity to actually, like, literally walk in the moon because her talent truly paved way for her before kings and, you know, queens and all of that. She could do anything with that voice, right? How are we still stuck with a violent spouse that we're not able to see that this I can actually go on my own, given that even the money is being controlled by the person, the money you are earning? So what exactly would you think would have been the thought process of that kind of a person, you know?
I think it's important for women to know that it's important when you enter into marriage to be financially able. You must be able to own your own craft and be able to earn, and also keep what you're earning away from the marriage, because a lot of people mistake when you first marry, they're like, well, let's have joint accounts, let's do these things together, your talents that will manage. No, we need to delineate between the finances of the marriage and the love. I can love you, I can be with you, I can be your spouse, raise children, but it's actually separate from my career. It's separate from, you know, me, you know, making money. And it's important for women to understand that it's okay to have that line drawn, because a lot of us don't draw it. You know, you have men say, oh, I want you to join my business, or I want to help you out, and before you know it, we're doing it together. And because the man is the head of the family, you are definitely going to be subordinate. It's very rare to see a man who allows the two, the wife and himself, to occupy that space equally, to be kings equally. This is the reason why it's important for us to keep our own way. Yes, we can do together, we can plan our future, but it's okay. if we don't have to merge, you know, our finances together, because that's where the problem starts from. It's always financial. Sure. It always. If it's not a man beating a woman or being angry with her for the money she's making and not bringing it to the center, or from the fact that you're making a lot of money, I want to get in, what are you making, or, you know, bring it to the center again. It's always finances. So we need to be clever in the sense that when we enter a marriage, okay, what are you bringing to the table? Are you financially able? Do you have a path? You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be someone who starts off, you know, having a house. But do you have the spec to make your own money? Separate from my money. Because if we get together and you're looking at me as, you know, you're going to help me out, which is where, you know, this poor soul, you know, fell victim to, because her husband, from what I understood from the reports, you know, going around, is that he doesn't have his own. He's her manager. Why do we have to? Why do you have to come into my business? And as much as I love you, oh yeah, we'll do it together. No, let's keep it separate so that we will have less issues to argue about, less conflict, I think. So that's where, you know, I think we need to start off.
What you're saying is, before we get to the point where a man or a woman gets married, we need financial literacy.
Yes.
Because I think that's one thing that is missing. People just think that the only ingredient that is required to go into a marriage is love, and they forget all other things that are important. So I think that financial literacy is very,
definitely that's the first one.
Yeah.
We need to
and most women don't know anything about financial literacy. They can tell you about going to the market, about cooking, about dressing up, about fashion and everything. But when it comes to finances, investments and all, they know nothing.
How are we going to do it as a couple?
Yes.
Yes. You see, that conversation is so very key. And what we find that a lot of, when you go to marriage classes, you start, that conversation is not properly had, because you need to sit down and say, okay,
with the experts.
What are we going to discuss? How are we going to, you know, because we are in a world where women are getting more empowered now. Gone are those days where we would just sit at home, and even those of us who are even at home wives, we are so empowered that we're doing something with ourselves most times, you know. And if you don't have that conversation, you will find that even if you're a, you know, home wife and you're a homemaker, it's almost like the man is doing you a favor, you know, giving you money. But no, you are a homemaker. That skill to run the home, to manage the children,
you deserve a salary.
Yes. So he's not doing you a favor. So many times women don't even realize that, you know, oh, what's your job? I'm a housewife. No, you're not a housewife. You're a homemaker. It's a job, because it takes a skilled person to do that, to plan the home, to do it effectively. So if the husband is giving you money for that, it's not a favor. You don't have to go hand in mouth begging all the time. No, my salary should be paid so and so. Those discussions needs to be had.
So should we start to approach finances legally? So where we have maybe drawn up contract to say, these are the things that we're supposed to be doing. These are your expectations. We sign a contract, to sign a pact that is bound by law for you to be able to. No, because
the only thing that will drive them anyway. They won't marry.
No, it's not about driving the men.
They will not come.
They will not come. And let them stay. It means that they don't have good intention.
You know, if you both understand, so it's like information and putting it out there. If we see that, because a lot of people don't have that conversations at all, you will find that you've been dating. Oh, what do you do? I'm a banker. And what do I do? Maybe I'm a marketer for a particular company. That conversation doesn't ever happen where, okay, so how do you intend to raise the kids? Who is going to be responsible for the school fees? Who's going to be responsible for the you know, the shopping, the groceries? Who's responsible for this? It doesn't happen. Only people that maybe, you know, maybe had their marriage start from, you know, abroad, that have that conversation. Okay,
because we're used to splitting the bills abroad.
But right now we are splitting the bills. Any African home, you find that it doesn't take one income anymore to run the home. True. If it's one income, there's pressure somewhere, and the man is angry. If it's the woman, you know, it's very rare to find men who are, you know, man enough to just say, you are in your lane, and I'm going through this right now, and I'm going to rise up eventually. But that pressure is on the woman to keep hunting and keep, you know, going to get the money home. And because they're not earning, they're getting angry every time, you know, it's disrespect. But that's what we found ourselves.
I hate that word, disrespect.
Yes.
What does that mean? But you know what, Trish, I was going to ask you now. Let's bring it back home to this conversation. There's somebody going through a violent relationship she's currently inside, you know, because all these things you said now is preventive measures.
Yes.
we are already inside.
Okay.
You know, you have entered the one chance.
Exactly.
You're already inside that marriage. How do you start to approach everything you do, both on the legal side and financially? How do you start to look out for, since you already know you are in an abusive situation? How do you approach
I think
that?
information is power. Information is power, because most times women don't leave their marriages for fear. First of all, is that maybe they don't want to lose the status that they have from being in the marriage, because there's a stigma when you leave. Oh, don't follow that person. Don't follow that. That's one. And there's also fear when they've had kids. Especially men, they will threaten you with the kid. I'll take your kids from you. No, they need to understand that, you know, women by law are actually regarded as a primary caregiver.
Yes.
So the law favors the women.
Yes.
Yes. So
most
you can actually
don't know that.
They don't know. They just think that, oh, I'll take it. Okay. Funny enough, if the woman decides that I'm going to get up today and pack my kids and go away, nobody can bring the kids back. They are with their mother, and the law regards them as the primary caregiver. Even the man cannot come and drag the kids back. If you use your clout and whatever you have, your means, you know, all they will say is, oh, it's a domestic matter. The kids are with their mother. It's not a kidnapping. They've gone with, the mother has chosen to take the kids with them. What women fear, and they need to debunk this fear, is that, oh, I'm not going to have the same lifestyle that I had.
Yes.
Well, guess what? The lifestyle you have right now may be looking good, but you are in fear. You cannot close your eyes for fear of you have not done something. What now? You hear your husband coming, you hear his honk of his car, you quickly run to go and to bed to pretend like you're asleep. Is this what you're going to be living for? And don't forget, as your kids are seeing that, if you cannot live for yourself, live for your kids. Because you are setting them an example that they would take on when they grow. So you need to leave, and if you can. Now, I'm not saying that all men that have perhaps passed through an abusive position, because they're the ones abusing, and most times, you know, it's the men that are abusing the women. Now, there are situations where women are abusing the men as well. Before a man talks, a woman has stopped, because he knows that the man is never going to raise his hands. But even at that, we need to understand that, you know, our kids are our own. We are the primary caregiver that we regard as. The law is on your side. So your fear is just your comfort.
Yes.
That's pretty much what it is. You need to just decide that I'm willing to be
uncomfortable for a while.
And then let me say something. When you leave, you can approach the courts. Lagos State is actually very good with this. They're very good with,
they have a
welfare. They have a welfare, association of bill. They have hotlines. They have all sorts. Even when you go to court, the court favors you, particularly in Lagos State. You can take yourself and approach the court to have child support paid. So if you are not in a position, financial strength, you can actually have the man pay, because going out now, it's not going to be easy, by no stretch of any imagination, which is the reason why we always advise women, be up and doing. Love doesn't conquer all, it really doesn't. And as much as you love, you need to also love with your head space as well. You are in a marriage, a man tells you don't work, be doing something. I know of a very good friend that her husband never wanted her to work for almost 19 years. She never worked. But while she wasn't working, she was amassing masters. She finished her degree. She had 2 masters, had a PhD. One day the man ups and comes and said, you know what, I've been having an affair with my secretary. I have 2 children now. And stopped coming home. She dusted herself up, picked all the certifications and the certificates she's acquired, and went and got a job. And she was able to cater for her kids. And she wasn't in a financially, straight where all of a sudden she needs the man. The man can trust you as the wind goes, which is what a lot of women lose.
Yeah, but even at that.
You know what? Let's just go on a peep out, peep in break. We'll be right back. Alright, so if you just tuned in, we are having an amazing chat with Trish Okereke on practical legal and financial steps that you can, approach towards a violent spouse. Now, let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at WishOAfrica1 with the hashtag Wisho. Mani, you were going to say something quickly.
Yes. So, Trish, I was going to address what you just said. Your friend who got married, had a master's while she was at home and everything. So I think that is one lucky story amongst many.
Definitely.
Because how about if she had to stay in the job market, or what do they call it, the employment space for a long time without a job?
Absolutely.
I'm of the opinion that when you send your child to school, your child comes out, they should get a job. Marriage should not stop you from working.
Yes.
I don't see how getting married affects your career. I don't actually see that. So I think we should actually let these women know that you can get married, you can have children, you can care for your children, at the same time you can work. Because the men are also married, the men also have children, but the men are also working. So when we continue to fan this belief that women, after having children, should sit at home, then we'll have many women who are desperately stuck at home, stuck in very bad marriages because they don't have the means, to live, to cater to themselves and their children in the event of any issues. So I think that
there's a justification that men give when they tell women not to work, when they leave school, because especially if you've been probably dating your boyfriend for a bit and you graduate and he proposes, all of a sudden you find yourself marrying before you're getting the job. So your career hasn't started, but you're going into the marriage. Now, what the men will usually say is that, we want you to concentrate on the home, we want you to concentrate on the kids that are coming, and I think when you are that young and naive, and it's not even necessarily
it's an easy story
it's an easy sell, because okay, he wants me to stay home, he's going to cater for no, if he's going to be doing that, then he needs to agree how much is your salary for doing that, because that in itself is a job. Staying home is not an easy thing to do, and if he's telling you not to work, and most times women, they give up that right to get a job. They stay home, or the husband says, you know what, if you really want to get a salary, then start working with me. And what I always say to that is this: you need to be clever and then assess. It's okay, I'm going to be working with you, I'm going to be seeing everything you're doing. It's not easy working with your spouse. It's very rare. Most times you're almost like a doormat, because it will treat you worse than even the secretary. The secretary goes home away from, but you are resuming at work together. You are going home together. So not only are you talking about the domestic issues of, did you cook today? What did you cook? How did you clean and cater to the home? You're also in the office too, being shouted at, you didn't pay this, you didn't pay that. So it doesn't end. Where would the view of what you're seeing of your spouse, you see him as maybe the MD, CEO, you come home, you see him as the husband. So it erodes even the love. It dies very quickly. After 1 year, 2 years, you begin to see the man in a different light. If he calls your name, you eye roll, what now? So I think to keep the love for the longest, it's just better for you to go away, have a breather where you work, come back, So I don't advise you, working all the time together, unless you have a unique man that is able to keep the lines, separate, where you come home, oh honey, what are we having today? You go to, when you get to the office, oh Annabelle, so what are we doing? It's very difficult to have a man be able to exist in those two spaces.
I think women should have their jobs. Have your jobs.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask that, so there are a lot of women that have gotten to that point where they never worked.
Okay.
They never had any kind of experience. And all of a sudden, maybe their kids are now old enough to be by themselves.
Yes.
And they want to be reintroduced back to the workspace. They want to start earning a salary and all of that. Is there, because the Nigerian law for employment, it doesn't really support those kinds of women. Are there things we can start to do to help encourage such women, where, yes, we know you have zero work experience, right? But you see, this and this and this, probably when you go through maybe a few trainings and all of that will brush you up, and immediately you start to earn. Can we start to think in that direction?
Yes, definitely. Thankfully, these days we have online certifications. We have, in fact, the world is much smaller now. Unlike back in the day where you literally had to find a course to go and do Yaba Tech, or you have to go to an institution to go and get all this, a certificate for you to be able to work. But these days, you can literally take an online secretarial course. You can take typing course online. You can do a lot. You can get a lot of certificates online now that can train you. Now, if you don't have access to computer, you can actually join a
and so
computer
someone will
center.
be willing to employ you at
Yes.
entry level at your age.
Yes.
I'm thinking by that time you're approaching 35, 37, 38, you know, that kind
So
of
it's
thing.
information. So most times, a lot of women don't tap into the resources of the close contact they have. The first person you need to tell is your contact, your father, your mother, your pastor, your friends. Oh, I'm looking for a job. I need to work. You know, I've been suffering this and this for this number of years. I need to get out and go and earn money now. I need to do something. You know, a lot of times people don't realize that, you know, you can talk to people in your circle and even get a job. You know, and if you don't tell them, you don't necessarily have to go into the whole tale of woe that you have. You can just give them a little tidbit so that they can, sympathy is key here. You know, tell them where you've been, what you've been doing, how you've been limited. Because when people don't know, they will, I guess, they will judge you in the same way as others who are the same age. Meanwhile, those ones, they carried on with their careers right from the get-go.
But that would be good. That would be the right thing to do, because as a HR expert, if I see someone come to me and tell me that she's been raising her children for the past 15 years, and I have someone else who has been working for the past 15 years, I'm going to take the other person who's been working for the past 15 years.
But guess what? You will give them a chance for a lower position, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
Not.
So, probably not. So, it's expectation also.
We need to let these people know that that gap in your CV is very dangerous.
It's very
to
dangerous,
your career.
yes. But we are here now. What about those who are here now? So
Yeah.
we're talking to those who are here now.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't remain stuck. They need to get up and get going. You know, and the only way to do
if
it.
they see that flicker of hope,
Yes.
that I might just be able to find something to do. It might not be as it should in terms of maybe my age, and if I was following through a career, maybe by now I'll be director level and all of that. But if there's a small ray of hope that I can find something to do, however little the income is, and it's a decent job that can start a career at that particular age, I am sure that a lot of women will walk out some of these violent relationships. Right?
I think it's giving it a chance, because you just never know. You know, even when you're starting your career as a young lady, it's something you're taking a chance on anyway. It's just that most times you're always thinking, oh, I'm too old. Oh, I've not had enough experience. But it doesn't really matter. You will find someone. I mean, I know particularly that I am of the opinion that you might come in and you've had a 15-year gap. Most times people lie in their CV anyway. You know,
I don't lie.
They do. I found that they say you can type, you know, 105 words.
All the time.
They do. So you are thinking that, oh, this person looks so competent. No, they're not that competent. What the difference between you and them is not that far, especially when you're an intelligent
It's the confidence.
It's the confidence. You need to pick yourself up and keep trying. And that trial, I keep telling people, you need to tell your story. Your story is going to be the game changer for you, because you keeping it away and not being able to, or just lying.
This is a society that they tell you hush hush. No, they tell person say your husband they beat you for house.
Well, guess
they
what?
talk because I mean.
Okay, so let me debunk that.
Yeah.
The first empowerment to having your spouse continue to abuse you is your concealment.
Yeah.
You have concealed your ability. See, it's either the woman they're embarrassed, they're ashamed. What are you ashamed for? Did you beat yourself? What did you do to deserve the beatings? It's not your fault. So instead of being embarrassed on behalf of the man, tell your story. It will save you. Because maybe some men who can still be rehabilitated, shame will put their hands down. Because by the time they leave their hand and they remember that you are a parrot, they will think twice. Why did the black eye you cross? Mama don't so how did this black eye come about? You know, I hit myself in the door. If you say Mama don't so say, it's your brother Samuel. You have been punching me since, so the person will immediately adjust. The man, he might even want to give you I say, ask him what I did. He said, I don't mind him. He didn't cook it. He said, is that why I have a black eye? Ask him for me, please.
So
that exposure.
Yeah.
And anywhere you go, expose him. That's the only weapon you have, because you can't strike him back. They are the heavier, you know, powered sex. We are the weaker sex. Most of us, you know. I mean, I know there are some women that are strong, but most of us, even when the strong women, there are certain places that a man will punch you.
I said my 13-year-old niece today. He grabbed my hand. I was begging him. I said, please leave me. He said, I want to tell you that I'm stronger than you. I said,
ready.
And he's just 13.
Imagine.
I say
So
you
they
are
imagine
strong,
a fully grown man.
Now imagine when he's
hold you in
older.
a particular way. So,
But Trish, I was going to ask about financing, right? When it comes to earning, because again, some of this violent relationship is not that the woman is not even working. Let's say she's working, but her earning power is now higher than the partner. How should she approach that violence? Because I see a lot of women, some of them will carry their salary at the end of the month, they go and hand over the money to the man. Is that a wise financial decision?
So you see, the thing is, when we're in an abusive relationship, we think of ways to help the man to stop what he's doing. You know, because and with that same mindset, you think, even if you don't know, in your mind you think it's your fault. That's why you're trying to please him. You're trying to earn his love. I say it to people, even when you're not in an abusive relationship, if you have to earn your spouse's love, where will you end?
Yeah.
It's a choice. You chose to love this person. I've chosen to love my spouse. They should have chosen to love me. You know, I cannot earn it. I shouldn't have to. If I'm not going to try.
And if you're not earning it, you choose to love yourself.
Yes, because when you are trying to give your money, it's not going to work. Because you know what? The day you give your money and the day that is not complete,
There'll be a
just
problem.
that tiny reason, he will flare up.
There will
Where
be
is the money?
another beating.
You are living in, you are in bondage.
Absolutely.
So free yourself. If you couldn't earn it with just him just choosing to love you, certainly you cannot love you by giving him money.
Your salary.
It's not working.
So
It's not going to work.
Let's take some comments.
okay. I just think that we need to break the cycle.
Definitely. By educating our young children from young, this is not the way.
So do you agree to, sorry, before Manny takes that comment, because we're talking financial approach, do you agree to secret property acquisition, secret bank accounts, where you just have some kinds of, you know, you're just storing money?
Okay, so I'm the proponent of the idea that what is secret? You don't have to use a microphone to loud it, but you've mentioned it at some point in time. If he doesn't remember, then that's not your fault. You know, I mean, you want to acquire a piece of land that, you know, oh, I'm looking at land, you know, so and so, or, you know, I'm opening a bank account, I have some payment that I'm expecting. You know, by the time it comes through and you've mentioned it, is that secret? Is that still secret? Because, you know, it's your money. You don't have to take permission. So for me, I'm more of the mind that once you've mentioned it, it's no longer secret. Or you know, I don't want it to be. I even have a very close colleague of mine who, you know, is very bitter about his wife acquiring lands, acquiring cars without his knowledge. One day, just see her driving this fancy car. But you've mentioned it at some point that, oh, I was gifted something. I've not brought it home yet. You've concluded the sale. It's now here.
I think you're about to queue.
Is it still
They will come for you.
They will come for you.
I mean, I just think
about to
it's
kill
not secret,
me
is
here.
it? You mentioned it now.
It's not secret.
In passing.
Oh,
Like,
I should detail it.
Well, guess what? I know someone that does that all the time to his wife. He just mentions it in passing. And I'm like, so when is that supposed to be? It was mentioned before.
Yes. And
I
you
mean,
remember that conversation. Somebody didn't tell me the details. Oh, I didn't think I had to.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I think that the ideal situation is I'm supposed to put my cards on the table. You're supposed to put your cards on the table. Don't try to cheat me. I'm not going to try to cheat you.
They always will, though.
Yeah, well, when you start trying to cheat me, then we'll go doing it the way you just said.
Thank you. So justified. When you have gone there, we always get to that level. Yes, we always do. So you start off opening your card. You start off with a joint bank account and everything. When you now see that you're the only one who put in and withdrawal is, you're like, okay, this is not. I know great couples who have joint bank, which is working for them, but one size does not fit all. I have examples where people say, but this other person is having joint bank. Great for them.
Yeah.
I choose a different way, and it's okay.
Absolutely.
Because one size doesn't fit all. We are not all the same sizes. We shouldn't be expected to do things the same way. Just the same way men don't like to be compared. Oh, this person is so romantic. Why would you now expect me to be jointing accounting with you when you know that you don't want me to compare you to another person who is romantic? So let's just debunk the expectations. It's all expectations. We just need to debunk it.
So first of all, don't go into a relationship, talk less of marriage without getting deep and decisive action that will favor you and your kids whatsoever. It's irrational after getting into a relationship and the devil just humps in. We all need to be prayerful in the world of today. God bless every woman. I once hit my partner because of her running mouth, but it was resolved amicably. Bobby Kennedy from Jalingo.
Bobby, you.
Bobby, oh.
So that's the justification a lot of men give. You know, I've had comments where people say, oh, women, they talk a lot. And their running mouth, their vicious mouth is equal to me striking them. How? How
Your mouth should run too.
Why?
Why
Thank
are
you.
beating me?
Why don't you use your own vicious mouth too, or learn to get a vicious mouth as well? You know, why would you think it's like me saying, you know, someone hit me, I take a knife and stab the person? It's not. They don't commiserate. They're not equal. So we are. Because we are the weaker, there's none. We are the weaker sex. So what weapon do we have? We can't punch you.
You know,
all we have is our words.
So you talk back at us instead.
Right.
But the thing for me is not even about the weaker sex. That is a good point. But I just think that nobody should be hitting anybody.
Nobody.
Men don't hit the women. Women don't hit the men.
But you know, they're justifying that, saying, oh, because your mouth, you're running your mouth, you are, you know, saying all sorts of insulting things to me.
Yeah.
The only way to silence you, really?
Is to shut you
all
down.
day.
But that's a very
questions.
big show of cowardice, and it's a big show of what is it called? That the person is still a child. Because I mean, you
can't
should
even
be able. Yes, you can't
control yourself.
communicate.
Yeah.
If there is an issue, why can't you just sit down and have a conversation?
And we tell our kids, you know, violence is not the matter. Don't hate. You should come and report. Now you're an adult. Your wife is running her mouth, and you punch her.
Now hit her.
Does that make sense?
Doesn't make any sense.
Just no justification.
Manny, let's
for
take
that.
some comments.
Okay. It says, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying ways. This domestic violence of a thing, we can see it from two different angles. Sometimes the cause of the action is being caused by the woman herself. Some women cannot control their mouths. They are too insultive. That is why their spouses beat them. My dear beautiful sister, Trisha, hit the nail on the head. She said Trish hit the nail on the head. She made mention of upbringing, and it is very vital. But all the same, no man born of a woman has the right to hit a woman. It is wrong. For crying out loud, these are somebody's daughters you are beating, and whether the man likes it or not, there are consequences that are attached to it. Finally, no man should go free after assaulting a woman domestically. If a man beats his wife, the children are watching, and when they grow up, they will end up beating their spouses. Because they learn it from their parents. Learning such things are bad and shameful. My name is Daniel Ilo, Ways regular fan. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
You have
Let me take another comment from Adi.
But can I just
Quickly
make sure
say
that
something.
women, please, men also, there is no justification for hitting a woman.
Forget about
if
the
you
sharp
want
mouth.
to lower yourself to an animal, walk away. Please. She's vicious with her mouth. When she starts, shut the door and walk away.
Yes.
And let her be shouting at herself there.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Absolutely. So good evening, ladies. This is for your guest. How do you deal with a spouse that wanted to just spend family joint account lavishly once it reaches a particular amount account balance? This seems to be annoying because you all agreed at first to use the money for a family blueprint plan. So you've had a plan, and this madam will just say money the account. She goes on a shopping spree. How do you handle that?
Is this from a woman's perspective?
A man. It's a man that's asking the question.
Well, the truth of it is that you stop putting money in the joint account. Again, have a conversation that this is what you need to pay for.
So once you notice your spouse isn't financially disciplined,
you just start giving them the money that they need for what they need it for. Now, there are some women that will be giving money for what they need and use it for something else. Then you just have to come up with a plan where, you know, I'm not sure what the household can be, but if you have like a cook or someone that can order groceries for you, if you know that the woman is not responsible enough, because there's some women, you give them 200,000, they will spend 50,000, the remaining 150 they will use to sew clothes, buy clothes and do whatever. we know such women, you know, and in order to be able to, or they owe debt somewhere, they're going to use it to pay it off, and they will only bring 50,000, and the man wouldn't notice until 1-2 weeks into the month, and where is fish? No fish. Where is meat? Did I give you 200,000? Did no reach. Of course, you know 50,000 is not going to buy much, so the man will eventually notice. If you have a woman such as that, then of course joint account does not work.
Yeah.
I don't believe in joint
Yeah.
accounts. There are some people that it just doesn't work for. You know, in this kind of case, it doesn't work. There's no need to have a blueprint. A blueprint is only as good as if you both obey it. If there's someone is breaking the code, then use a different method. The method is that give her money specifically for the things she needs, and then she shows herself irresponsible not to do those things, then you change it again and say, okay, you know what?
Let me just order the thing myself.
Market woman, Mama Linda, or
Bring the
something.
thing,
Bring the thing and pay directly.
Two people cannot work together unless they agree. So
That's
if they're
it.
not going to agree, then they should do
There's
things
no point.
separately.
And we
There's
need
no
to
point.
recognize the weaknesses we have in our spouses as well. So, for example, women also need to be cautioned. When you know a man drinks, for example, and he's irrational when it comes home, he's drinking. He's been drinking. And you notice there's no point shouting and trying to correct him at that time. Girl, you need to learn your audience. He's drunk. He's irrational when drunk. Go to sleep. He came home late. That's not the time to tell him he came home late. Go to bed. The next day, when he's sane, when he cannot act irrationally, you can shout on top of your lungs. Why did you come? Because we need to recognize our audience as well. Because just what the other commenter said, that women put ourselves in this situation because we run our mouths. You know, I understand what they mean. There's no justification for physical violence, certainly, but we need to recognize that as women, we shouldn't put ourselves in harm's way.
Yes.
I know women who they start running their mouths and then they see the men going crazy and they're still talking. And even if sometimes when the man is trying to leave, they go and block the door. Girl.
Okay. We need to be careful the way we create narratives around violent spouses. For example, your guest says she can't earn the love of her spouse, that it's a choice. That same way, men don't want to be disrespected. You said walk away. Some women would block you and dare you to hit her. That's why she said do not walk away. Do not block anybody. I rather think spouses must learn to be mutually highly respectful of each other. This is John from Lagos. John, I think she has answered you. I understand there shouldn't be a reason for that a man should beat his wife, beat a woman either verbally or physically. But please tell the women not to be running their mouths, because not all men know the right thing to do in that situation. This was Peter. Okay, now we're done. I don't know.
I don't know if a woman can stop running her mouth.
I don't know. I think the most important thing we should take away from this is self-control.
Absolutely. And on all parts.
Know how to hold yourself.
We ran out of time. Before we go, thank you so much, Trish. Time just flew by.
Just like that.
Thank you, Manny. Before we go, ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment. More importantly, follow all our engagements on social media, like, share, and invite our friends and family to watch the show. We'll bring back Trish again, don't worry. So in case you missed today's quote, you're in a relationship to be happy, right? To smile, to laugh, and to make good memories, not to be constantly upset, to feel hurt, or to cry. This is from an anonymous person. We'll see you guys live on Monday. Remember that about the relationship. Remember that. If you're not having that, then you have to walk away. We'll see you guys live on Monday to bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.